Have you ever felt this? You work hard, the paycheck comes in, and for a brief moment you feel safe. But then, like sand slipping through your fingers, it's gone. No matter how tightly you hold on, the money disappears. The night outside is quiet. Only the faint ticking of a clock and the hum of a streetlight break the silence. Imagine yourself sitting there, staring at your account balance, asking the question no one wants to admit out loud: where did it all go? A man once told me, money doesn't vanish, it walks away quietly, step by step, unless you guard it. Guard it. The word lingers in the dark, like a warning, or perhaps a secret. And tonight I want to share with you the story of someone who discovered that hidden habit. The one that doesn't just protect your money, it protects your future. But before we get there, ask yourself this: what if the real reason money never stays isn't about how much you earn, but about what you can't see? In a city that never quite feels awake, there lives a man named Daniel. He's 32, an office worker, one of those faces you pass every day without noticing. The kind of man who blends into crowded trains, whose footsteps echo softly on gray pavements, whose life seems ordinary at first glance. But inside Daniel's world, there is a storm. Every month, the same ritual unfolds. His paycheck arrives. For a moment, relief washes over him, like rain after a long drought. He tells himself, "This month, I'll finally get ahead." And yet, within days, the numbers shrink. Bills pile up. Late-night food deliveries, subscriptions he forgot to cancel, impulse purchases that felt harmless at the time, each one a drop, and together they drain him dry. The office where Daniel works is cold, sterile. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, the kind that makes your skin look pale and your thoughts heavy. Rows of cubicles stretch like cages, filled with quiet tapping of keyboards and the occasional sigh from exhausted workers. Daniel sits at his desk, hunched over spreadsheets, pretending to focus, while his mind races elsewhere. He glances at his phone, a notification flashes. Payment due. Credit card. He swallows hard. Inside, a voice whispers, "You're working so hard, why does it never feel like enough?" That voice grows louder at night. When he walks back to his small apartment, when he locks the door and the silence presses in, when he stares at his bank balance glowing on the screen. It's a cruel number. Not zero, but close enough to make him feel trapped. Daniel remembers his father, an old man with weathered hands, always scribbling expenses into a tattered notebook. Back then, Daniel didn't understand. Why count every coin? Why worry so much? But now, sitting in the dim glow of his apartment lamp, he wonders if his father knew something he didn't. He whispers into the stillness, "I save, I try, but it all slips away. Why?" No answer comes, only the hum of the refrigerator, like the ticking of the clock. Daniel leans back, closes his eyes. His chest tightens. It's not laziness, it's not ignorance. It feels like something invisible is taking his money before he even has a chance to hold it. And then just as he's about to drift into restless sleep, a thought strikes him. What if the real problem isn't the money itself? What if it's him? What if there's something he doesn't see? A hidden force, a pattern, a habit. The kind of habit that doesn't just spend your money, it guards it. Daniel sits in his apartment, the screen still glowing faintly in the dark. His mind drifts, not forward but backward, toward a memory he hasn't touched in years. The sound of rain against the old tin roof. The smell of coffee drifting from the kitchen. A dim yellow lamp flickering in the corner of a small living room. And there, at the wooden table, sits his father. His father's hands were rough, marked by years of hard labor. Yet every evening, no matter how exhausted, he would take out a small battered notebook. The cover was faded, its corners bent, its pages smudged with ink and time. Daniel remembers being a boy, lying on the floor, doodling in silence while watching his father's ritual. The scratch of pencil on paper, the rhythmic tapping of coins counted carefully, the low voice muttering numbers under his breath. To young Daniel, it seemed unnecessary. Why write down every little thing? Why stress over a few coins? He would ask, "Dad, why do you always write it all down? Money comes and goes, right?" His father would pause, lift his gaze, and reply softly, though his eyes carried a weight Daniel couldn't understand back then. "Money is like water, son. If you don't have a vessel to hold it, it disappears into the ground. You won't even notice it's gone." Daniel never forgot those words, even though at the time they made little sense. He was just a boy, restless, eager for bigger dreams than small numbers scribbled in a notebook. But now, years later, in the dim light of his apartment, those words echo louder than ever. Money is like water. And Daniel realizes he's been living without a vessel. The memory sharpens. His father's face, calm but serious, the way he tapped the notebook with his finger as if guarding a secret. A secret Daniel never bothered to learn. Back in the present, Daniel sits upright, heart racing. For the first time, he wonders if that old notebook held more than numbers. Perhaps it held the habit, the hidden habit, that he's been searching for. He whispers into the silence, almost afraid of the answer. "What did you know, Dad, that I don't?" The room grows heavier. The ticking clock grows louder, and in the distance, a thought begins to form. If he doesn't uncover this hidden habit soon, he may never escape the cycle draining him dry. The memory of his father's words still lingers in Daniel's mind as he wakes the next morning. For a moment, sunlight filters through the blinds, painting his room in soft gold. But the calm doesn't last. His phone buzzes on the nightstand. Another notification. Another payment due. Daniel swipes the screen. Credit card bill. Rent reminder. Streaming subscription renewal. One after another, the list scrolls endlessly, like a chain tightening around his chest. He sighs and mutters under his breath. "I can't even remember signing up for half of these." He pushes himself out of bed, heads to the small kitchen, and pours stale coffee into a chipped mug. The bitter smell fills the air, but it doesn't wake him. It only reminds him how drained he already feels. Later that day at the office, Daniel receives his monthly paycheck. For a fleeting second, hope stirs in his chest. But as he logs into his banking app, the numbers flicker, and his heart sinks. Almost half of it is already gone, pulled automatically by bills and deductions. His desk feels colder than usual. The hum of fluorescent lights presses on his ears. Around him, coworkers laugh softly, talking about weekend plans, ordering takeout. But Daniel stares at his screen, paralyzed. He whispers again, a little louder this time. "It's like my salary vanishes into thin air." The words feel dangerous, like admitting a curse aloud. That night, he tries to track his expenses, just like his father once did. He scribbles numbers into a cheap notebook. Groceries, coffee, online orders, taxi rides. The list grows longer. His pen scratches faster. The page fills with messy numbers. Then, silence. Daniel drops the pen and stares at the page, horrified. It isn't the big purchases that are ruining him. It's the little ones, the ones he never thought mattered. A streaming service here, a quick lunch there, delivery fees, late fees, special offers that he never really needed. Together, they've devoured nearly everything. The ticking of the clock grows louder in his apartment, as though mocking him. Tick, money gone. Tick, another habit unguarded. Tick, a future slipping away. He grips the notebook, his knuckles white, his chest tightens. How long has this been happening? How many years has he wasted, blind to the leaks right in front of him? And then a thought crashes into him, sharp and terrifying. If this continues, if he can't find a way to stop it, his father's warning will become his life sentence. "I need to know, what was the habit, Dad? The one you never told me." The room is silent, but the shadows seem to lean closer, listening. The weight of the question lingers, unanswered. And Daniel realizes, the problem isn't just visible now. It's everywhere, it's alive. The next evening, Daniel drags himself out of the office, his notebook heavy in his bag. The city glows with neon lights. But to him, everything feels gray. His steps are slow, weighed down by the numbers that haunt him. He wanders into a small cafe at the corner of the street. The kind of place most people ignore, dimly lit, almost hidden behind taller buildings. The smell of roasted coffee beans mixes with old wooden walls. A soft jazz tune drifts from a speaker in the corner. Daniel takes a seat, hoping the quiet will ease his mind. He pulls out his notebook, flips through the pages filled with expenses, and shakes his head. All this work, for nothing. A voice interrupts. Calm, steady, almost familiar. Numbers tell stories, Daniel. The question is, are you reading the right one? Daniel looks up. Across the table, an older man sits, smiling faintly. His hair is graying, his suit simple but well kept. His eyes, however, carry something different. Calmness, as if he has already solved the puzzle Daniel is drowning in. It takes Daniel a second to recognize him. Mr. Rahman, a former colleague, someone he hadn't seen in years. Back then, Rahman had been just another tired worker in the office. But now, he looked different, at peace, almost untouchable. Daniel stammers. Mr. Rahman? I didn't know you still lived here. I do. I just live differently now. The words hang in the air. Daniel studies him, his relaxed posture, his steady hands, the absence of tension in his voice. It was the opposite of everything Daniel felt. Finally, Daniel blurts out the question, clawing at his chest. How? How do you look so calm? So free? I work every day, but I'm trapped. Rahman leans forward, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret not meant for everyone. Your money doesn't need to grow first. It needs to be guarded. Daniel freezes. Guarded. The same word his father once used. The cafe suddenly feels colder, the shadows in the corners stretching longer. Guarded? What do you mean? I've tried saving, budgeting. Nothing works. Rahman smiles, but doesn't answer directly. Instead, he taps Daniel's notebook with one finger. It's not about how much you earn or even how much you spend. It's about the habit you practice before the world takes it from you. Daniel frowns, frustrated. So what is it then? Investment? A side business? Some trick I haven't learned? Rahman only shakes his head, his eyes glinting with something almost playful. No, Daniel. It's smaller and bigger. A habit most people overlook because it's hidden in plain sight. The clock on the cafe wall ticks louder. Daniel feels the air tighten, his heartbeat quickening. He leans closer, desperate. Tell me, please, what is it? Rahman simply smiles, leaving the question hanging like a locked door. And at that moment, Daniel realizes the answer might not be given to him. He might have to find it himself. The night after meeting Rahman, Daniel can't sleep. He lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the city outside his window. The cafe conversation replays in his mind, every word sharper than the last. It's smaller and bigger. A habit hidden in plain sight. Guard your money before the world takes it. The words spin in circles, refusing to let him rest. Daniel sits up, switches on the dim lamp beside his bed, and flips open his notebook. The messy numbers from last night stare back at him, expenses piled like accusations. He runs his hand through his hair, frustrated. What did you mean, Rahman? What habit? He tries to guess. Was it investment? But Rahman said no, it wasn't about growing money first. Was it a side hustle, a hidden business trick? No. Rahman had dismissed that too. Daniel scribbles possibilities in the margins of his notebook. Cut expenses, work harder, earn more. He crosses them all out. Too obvious, too common. None of them carried the weight in Rahman's voice. The lamp flickers. Shadows stretch across the walls. Daniel feels like he's being watched, not by a person, but by the very numbers on the page. Each expense stares at him, daring him to find the answer. The next day at work, Daniel is distracted. Emails blur. Meetings drag on. When his boss asks a question, he fumbles, earning a sharp glare. All he can think about is Rahman's smile, calm and knowing. At lunch, he sneaks away to the same cafe, hoping to find Rahman again. But the chair across from him is empty. Only the faint echo of jazz remains. He stirs his coffee absent-mindedly, whispering, "Smaller and bigger. What could that mean?" The barista glances at him, puzzled, but Daniel doesn't notice. His mind is elsewhere, running through scenarios, each one collapsing before it makes sense. Night falls again. Daniel sits by his window, watching raindrops race down the glass. The city lights blur, glowing like questions without answers. He clutches his notebook tightly, heart pounding. For the first time in years, he feels it. Not just worry, but obsession. He knows there's something he's missing, something obvious yet invisible. And then it hits him. What if the answer isn't about the money itself? What if it's about him, the choices he makes before money even leaves his hands? His pulse quickens. The thought both excites and terrifies him. Smaller and bigger, right in front of me. But where? The room is silent, yet heavy with anticipation. Daniel feels like he's standing at the edge of a discovery, or a trap. And deep inside, he knows this. Until he uncovers the hidden habit, he won't be able to breathe easy. The next morning, Daniel wakes earlier than usual. The rain has stopped, leaving the city washed clean. For once, instead of rushing straight to the office, he sits at his kitchen table with his notebook, a pen, and a single thought echoing in his mind. Smaller and bigger. Guard before the world takes it. He flips open to a fresh page. With hesitant strokes, he writes today's date at the top. Then carefully, he records his very first line. Income. Today's paycheck. He stares at the number, his heart racing. Normally, he would let this money sit in his account until it quietly dissolved into bills and temptations. But this time, he pauses. He remembers Raman's words. He remembers his father's notebook. With a deep breath, Daniel pulls out an old envelope from the drawer. He scribbles on it, "For me." And he tucks a small amount of cash inside. Not much, just a fraction. But it feels heavier than gold. His hands tremble as he seals the envelope, sliding it into the back of a drawer. He half expects it to vanish instantly, like all the rest. But it doesn't. It stays. The silence in the room changes. The ticking clock no longer mocks him, it steadies him. The faint hum of the refrigerator feels almost reassuring. For the first time, Daniel feels in control. Later at work, he tests the second part of his experiment. Every coffee, every meal, every taxi, he writes it down in his notebook. The pen scratches against paper all day, each note pulling him closer to the truth he's been missing. At first, it's exhausting. His coworkers laugh when they see him scribbling. "What are you, an accountant for yourself?" Something like that. But deep inside, he knows this is more than a game. It's a fight against the invisible leaks that have ruled his life for years. That night, Daniel sits again at his table, reviewing the day. The envelope is still there, untouched, waiting. The notebook is filled with tiny expenses, all lined neatly. For once, the numbers don't scare him. They speak to him. And in that quiet moment, Daniel realizes this could be the beginning of something. A habit so small it feels almost trivial, but inside, he feels a shift. Still, doubt creeps in. One envelope, one day of notes. Can this really change anything? Or is he just fooling himself, chasing shadows? He stares at the envelope one more time, whispering, maybe this is the habit. Or maybe it's just another illusion. The lamp flickers. The shadows grow deeper. And Daniel feels the weight of the question pressing on him, whether this first attempt is the start of freedom or the beginning of another failure. For 3 days, Daniel holds on to the habit. Each morning, he slips a small amount into the envelope marked "For me." Each night, he records every expense with mechanical precision. At first, it feels like victory, small, fragile, but real. But on the 4th night, the storm comes. He sits at his desk, staring at his phone. A message blinks on the screen. Flash sale tonight, 70% off. His favorite headphones, the ones he has been eyeing for months, suddenly within reach. His pulse quickens. He flips open his notebook, scanning the pages. Numbers whisper at him, a chorus of guilt and temptation. He glances at the envelope in the drawer. The money inside seems to call his name. It's just one purchase. I deserve this. The room feels smaller, suffocating. The lamp above flickers, throwing shadows across the walls like dark hands reaching for him. The hum of the refrigerator grows louder, like a warning he doesn't want to hear. He grips the drawer handle, fingers trembling, pulls it open. The envelope is there, silent, innocent, yet heavier than ever. Memories flash. His father's voice, "Money is like water, son. Without a vessel, it disappears." Raman's words, "Guard it before the world takes it." Daniel's chest tightens. The voices clash inside him, louder and louder, until he slams the drawer shut and presses his hands against his face. I can't do this. It's too hard. For the first time since he started, he feels foolish. What difference can an envelope make? What difference can scribbled notes have against the pull of the world? He looks at the clock, past midnight. Time is slipping away, just like his money. And a terrible thought creeps in. Maybe he was never meant to escape. Maybe the curse of disappearing money is permanent. Daniel slams his notebook shut, pushes it aside. The pen rolls off the table and clatters onto the floor, echoing in the silence. He leans back, eyes closed, breathing heavy. And in the stillness, he whispers, maybe Raman was wrong, maybe my father was wrong. Maybe it's me. The shadows deepen. The lamp flickers once more, then steadies. And Daniel sits frozen, trapped between the urge to surrender and the faint, fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, the envelope could still be his salvation. The next evening, Daniel drags himself back to the cafe. His eyes are tired, his steps heavy. The envelope still sits untouched at home, but it feels like a stone tied around his heart. The cafe is quiet, just as before. Soft jazz hums in the background, the warm glow of lamps spilling across polished wood. And there he is, Mr. Raman, seated at the same corner table, as if waiting. Daniel approaches, voice low, almost breaking. I tried. I really tried. But it feels pointless. An envelope can't protect me from everything. I don't have the strength for this. Raman studies him, eyes calm, hands folded on the table. Then, with the gentlest tone, he replies, "Of course it feels pointless at first, because you think the habit is about the money. It's not. It's about you." Daniel frowns, confused. Raman leans forward, lowering his voice until the words feel like a secret confession. "The hidden habit is this. Pay yourself first." Daniel blinks, almost disappointed. "That's it. Just put money aside. I've tried saving before. It never lasts." Raman shakes his head slowly, his gaze sharp but kind. "No, Daniel. Saving after you've spent is just leftovers. Pay yourself first means you decide before the world decides for you. The moment income touches your hands, you guard a part of it. Automatically. Untouchable. That habit becomes the vessel. Without it, money is water. With it, money becomes foundation." The words hit Daniel harder than he expected. Memories flood back, his father tapping the notebook, repeating the same warning. Money is like water. Guard it. Daniel whispers, almost to himself, so it wasn't about numbers, it was about order. Raman smiles, faint but knowing. Exactly. The order you choose defines the life you live. Most people guard what's left, that's why they stay empty. The hidden habit is not glamorous, but it builds silently, brick by brick, until one day you realize you are free. Silence fills the cafe. Daniel stares at the table, his mind racing, his heart pounding. Could it really be that simple? Could all his years of struggle come down to a single habit, one he had overlooked all his life? The jazz fades. The lights feel dimmer, the shadows thicker. Daniel feels the weight of choice pressing on him again. Raman's eyes linger on him, calm and steady. "So tell me, Daniel, tomorrow morning, will you pay yourself first, or will you let the world take it again?" The question hangs in the air like thunder, demanding an answer. And Daniel knows this choice will decide not just his money, but his future. The next morning, Daniel wakes before sunrise. The city outside is still half asleep, the sky painted with faint strokes of gray and gold. He sits at his kitchen table, the envelope before him. This time, he doesn't hesitate. He pulls out a portion of his paycheck and slides it into the envelope. Not what's left, what comes first. "This is for me." The words feel strange at first, almost selfish. But as the envelope seals shut, a new feeling rises. Power. For the first time in years, Daniel feels like he is making the choice, not the world. Day after day, he repeats the ritual. The notebook grows heavier with numbers. The envelope grows thicker with cash. Small amounts, so small they seem meaningless. Yet each time, Daniel feels a quiet strength building, like bricks laid one after another. But the struggle isn't over. One evening, his friend invites him out for dinner at a trendy new restaurant. The kind with glowing signs and overpriced menus. Daniel checks his wallet. He could say yes, if he opened the envelope. For a moment, the temptation claws at him. The laughter of friends, the taste of food, the escape from loneliness. He stares at the envelope in his bag, silent, waiting. His chest tightens. Then slowly he breathes out and shakes his head. Not tonight. The decision hurts, yet it frees him. Another week passes. A sudden expense appears. His phone breaks. The repair cost nearly matches what he has saved in the envelope. His hands tremble as he considers breaking the rule. But then he remembers Raman's words. If you don't guard it, the world will take it. Instead of touching the envelope, he borrows a cheaper spare phone from a colleague. It's inconvenient, embarrassing. But the envelope remains intact. Each test leaves scars of frustration, but also seeds of pride. And little by little, Daniel notices something shifting inside him. He no longer dreads checking his bank balance. He no longer feels completely powerless at the sight of bills. The habit, small, invisible, humble, has started to guard him. Still, doubt lingers. He looks at the envelope some nights, whispering, "It's growing, but will it ever be enough?" The shadows don't answer. But deep down, Daniel knows. For the first time, his future isn't slipping away. It's waiting. A year passes. The seasons shift. Rain comes and goes. The city changes its rhythm, but Daniel has been quietly building something unseen. Each morning, the same ritual. Each paycheck, the same choice. At first it felt meaningless, like drops of water in a jar. But drop by drop, the jar has filled. On a quiet evening, Daniel sits at his wooden table once more. The drawer creaks open and he pulls out the envelope. It is no longer thin, fragile, or light. It is heavy now, so heavy it almost shocks him. He lays the envelopes down one after another like chapters of a story he didn't know he was writing. The paper rustles, the ink from his scribbled dates smudged but clear, and when he counts, his hands tremble. For the first time in his adult life, Daniel sees numbers that don't scare him, numbers that protect him, numbers that give him room to breathe. He whispers, voice breaking, I did this. The apartment feels different tonight. Not suffocating, not mocking. The lamp glows warmly, the air feels lighter, the silence comforting instead of cruel. Memories of his father flood back. The battered notebook, the tapping pencil, the words he once ignored. Money is like water, son. With a vessel it stays, without it disappears. Tears sting Daniel's eyes as he realizes he has built his vessel. Not with wealth, not with luck, but with a habit. A hidden habit that guarded him when nothing else could. And then a strange calm washes over him. The world no longer feels like an enemy stealing from him. For the first time, Daniel feels ready, not rich, but free. He steps to the window, looking out at the city bathed in golden evening light. The neon signs don't tempt him anymore. The noise doesn't overwhelm him. Because inside he carries something stronger, discipline, protection, a habit that whispers, you are safe now. But as he stands there, smiling faintly, another thought stirs. If a habit so small could guard his money this way, what else could it guard? What other hidden forces lie just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? The question lingers, heavy and mysterious as the screen fades to black. The envelopes sit before Daniel, heavy with proof of discipline. He touches them gently, almost afraid they might vanish if he blinks. For years, money slipped through his hands like sand. Tonight, it stays, he whispers to himself, voice trembling. I thought I was cursed, but maybe I was just blind. The room is quiet, filled only with the hum of the city outside. He leans back, closes his eyes, and breathes for the first time in what feels like decades. But as the calm settles in, another realization begins to form. Something bigger. Something his father's notebook, Rahman's words, and his own struggle had all been pointing toward. Yes, the envelopes guard his money. But the true wealth isn't in the cash. It's in the man who sealed those envelopes, day after day. The man who resisted temptation, who chose discipline over indulgence, who decided finally that his future mattered more than the moment. Daniel opens his eyes, a faint smile spreading across his face. Because he understands, the hidden habit wasn't just about guarding money, it was about guarding himself, his mindset, his choices, his freedom. The numbers in the envelopes are real, yes, but the true treasure is invisible, etched into his daily actions, carved into his willpower. He stands by the window, looking out at the city once more. The neon lights, the glowing billboards, the endless noise of consumerism, they no longer control him, because the vessel he built isn't just paper and cash, it's a new identity. Wealth isn't found, it's guarded, first in habit, then in heart. Most people chase money their whole lives, never realizing it slips away because they never learned how to guard it. They look for secrets in riches, in luck, in chance. But the truth is smaller and bigger. A habit so simple it hides in plain sight. Pay yourself first, and one day you'll discover the wealth you were searching for has been waiting inside you all along.